Okay, we finally made it to number 1. So far, we learned what we already knew, that you need a pre-positioning package, and how to use video as a handshake on your websites. Rich turned a potentially dull questionnaire into a Cosmo quiz. He explained what a squeeze page was and why you need it. We even learned that we might one day be reading each other's minds. I wonder if there's a career in mind-reading talent, like voice talent. I mean, I could do your interior monologues. At number 1, we go to the personal edge call. On this call, Rich doles out some life advice. Yeah, I need it, so I never miss this call. This month, Rich shares a story about making the time to make a connection. I could segue into this clip using a metaphor about electrical connections and tie this clip in with our first one, but I think I'll let it slide. Just listen. Last time.
Number 1.
The biggest challenge I found with this is simply making the time, because none of us have time. Society has changed. We have so many more things going on. I mean, if you look back 25 years ago, how much time did you spend in email? None. We didn't have it. How much time did you spend on Facebook? How much time did you spend on your iPhone and games and all these kinds of things? And these things, while maybe not horrible, you know, if you look at it from a standpoint of good, better, best, and how do you spend your time, they may be good, but certainly not better and best. And all I'm doing is asking you to look at maybe making some connections as being better and best as opposed to, you know, not. I want to give you another story because the story has a principle that's the key here. It was told to me by a guy named Dirk Pelton, and he's a guy in our church here. A few years ago, he was called by the higher-ups in our church to serve as what we call a mission president. In the LDS church, you may be aware, Mormon missionaries is kind of a big deal. They ride the bikes around and all that kind of stuff. Well, there's about 330 or 340 different missions all over the world. And each mission has what's called a mission president who's responsible for managing the affairs of that mission, and most particularly in managing the missionaries. And, of course, the missionaries are typically young, 19, 20, 21 years old. And so they'll call older, more mature men to come out and be these mission presidents. And it's a 3-year calling. It's not paid. They do it as a volunteer service. And this guy, Dirk Pelton, who I know, was one of these mission presidents, and he happened to be in Spain. And he told this story to me that I thought was very, very interesting. He said when he was first called to be this mission president, they sent him through a training seminar, as you can imagine, to kind of figure out what his duties were and how he was supposed to do it. And one of the things they told him was, we would like for you to meet with every single missionary for an interview 1 time per month. And he was in training, and he heard that and said, okay, that sounds good, whatever. They told him lots of things. That was one of them. It sounded good, so he decided he would do it. So when he got out there into Spain and he was serving, he started to realize what an enormous responsibility this was to actually hold these interviews on a monthly basis with all these missionaries. And the reason was because 2 things. Number one, there was a lot of missionaries. There was about 130 to 150 at any given time that he had stewardship over. And there was geographic issues. They weren't all just right there in the same area. They were spread all over a huge geographic area, so to go meet with them in person required either him to travel to them or them to travel to him, which was not particularly convenient. So he thought to himself, well, you know, they've asked me to do this. It seems like a good idea. So he started doing these interviews every single month, and he said that he figured out at one point that to do all of these interviews took him 8 full work days. Now, it wasn't always just 8 days, but if you added up all the time, it took 8 full days, early in the morning to late in the evening, to interview all these missionaries every single month. And it was kind of a monumental pain in the butt. And he thought, well, you know, it seems like it's worthwhile, so he'll keep doing it. Well, about a year later, he went to another training seminar, because they will hold these seminars for these mission presidents periodically, and it was in Europe there, and mission presidents from all over came in for this training. And as you can imagine, they kind of sat there in some of their downtime, and they compared notes, you know, how things going, what are some of the challenges that you have. And he said he was really surprised that a lot of these other mission presidents that were serving in other parts of Europe were telling all these stories about their quote-unquote bad missionaries. And hopefully everybody can understand the sheer numbers involved here. If you've got 150 19 to 21-year-old young men, there's a likelihood that there could be some problems, okay? There's a very strict set of rules that these guys have to follow. They can't watch TV, they can't date, and there's some that have problems. I think everyone can understand that there would be some problems. And he said these mission presidents were swapping these stories of these guys who were, doing some things, and they had to send this guy home, and this guy got in trouble, and he was listening to these stories, and in the back of his mind, he's thinking, wow, I must be doing something wrong because I don't have any stories like that. I don't have any problems like that. So he made a conclusion in his mind that his problem was that he wasn't grilling his missionaries hard enough when he was interviewing them. Because certainly these types of problems, they seem to be widespread, and he must just be missing them. So he resolved when he went back, hey, I'm going to be a lot tougher on these guys. He gathered his leadership council, because in the missions they would have certain missionaries that would serve as leaders over certain zones and districts, and he gathered them together, and he said, okay, guys, there was maybe 15 or 20 of them that were in the leadership positions, and he said, okay, guys, here's the deal. I know what's going on here, and you can't hide it from me anymore. And they said, what are you talking about? He said, look, I just went to the seminar. I was talking to these other guys. Hey, I know what's going on. There's guys that are messing up. There's guys that probably need to be sent home. And I just want to be a lot tougher, and I want to find these things out so we can fix these problems. The leadership looked at him and said, we really have no idea what you're talking about. And as he explored it more and as he digged a little bit deeper, he found out that, indeed, there weren't any problems. And he looked up finally, and he looked in the mirror one day, and he said, I think the reason is that we don't have problems because I do sit with every single missionary every single month, and I have a heart-to-heart chat with him, and I find out what's on his mind. And, of course, there's people that could, lie or not tell the full story. He said, but in a given month, I meet with every single guy personally once a month, and I usually see them and shake hands with them at least one other time per month. So I'm seeing them twice and meeting with them in detail once. And he was telling me this story in the context of, who do you have stewardship over, and are you having that kind of contact with them? Making the connection, okay? That's what we're talking about here. By making efforts to connect with others, we can enrich others' lives and our own lives, okay? So I want you to examine how you spend your time. If it takes 8 full days to meet with 130 missionaries, is that okay?
Are you making the time to make connections? Are you taking care of the connections you've already made? In your business life? In your personal life? Life is short, insiders. It's a countdown. Counting down. Don't let what marks our time here pass away. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I am Stu Gray, and this was the MYM Insider Monthly Top 10. Monthly means I will talk to you soon, and until then, listen to the calls and call in. Maybe next month we will be hearing you.